still has a cell phone that's turned up, would you put it on soft or put it on vibrate only, please? Thank you.
Shalom. My name is Rabbi Josh Caruso. I'm from Anshe Chesed, Fairmount Temple. It's my honor to be here today as we pay tribute to Rina. In the words of Ecclesiastes, a season is set for everything. A season, a time for every experience under heaven. A time for dancing and a time for wailing. A time for birthing and a time for dying. A time for speaking and a time for silence. A time for seeking, time for losing. The time of mourning is a complicated time filled with many emotions and memories, both bitter and sweet. We begin our service with the recitation of psalms and prayers, thus linking Rina's life with the 3,000-year-old tradition of the people Israel and the eternity of God. I invite you to join with me now in the recitation of Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. After a while, you learn the subtle difference between holding a hand and chaining a soul, and you learn that love doesn't mean leaning, and that company doesn't always mean security. And you learn that kisses aren't contracts and presents aren't promises. You begin to accept your defeats with your head up and your eyes straight ahead, with the grace of a woman or a man, not the grief of a child. And you learn to build all your roads on today, because tomorrow's ground is too uncertain for plans, and futures have a way of falling down in mid-flight. After a while, you learn that even sunshine burns if you bask too much. So you plant your own garden, you decorate your own soul, instead of waiting for someone to bring you flowers. And you learn that you really can endure, that you really are strong, that you really have worth. And you learn, and you learn. With every goodbye, you learn. There are so many beloved family members here today who are remembering Rina. I know there are a few who want to share on behalf of the greater family. We'd like to invite 4 speakers today. The first will be Rina's daughter-in-law, Claire, and then following Claire will be Rina's son, Ronald, and then following Ronald will be her grandson, Randy, and then her granddaughter, Brianne. Claire.
Hello, like the rabbi said, my name's Claire, Ronald's son. I remember the very first time I met Rina. Ron and I, we met in college, and we were going home for a weekend, and I have to honestly say I was a little bit intimidated by this strong New Yorker. And to be honest, Ron was one of the first Jewish people I had ever met, so it was quite a cultural shock. Fortunately, though, I discovered it didn't last very long, my intimidation. I soon realized that this tiny little woman was one of the most compassionate, strong people that I had ever met. I'm sorry. What I really admired about Rina was she cared about the underdog. She would do everything to help somebody that needed something. I was amazed at all the organizations that she worked for or volunteered for, and I know she made a difference in so many people's lives. That was her goal. And she did these things. She never expected any self-recognition. She never expected accolades. She simply did it because she wanted to make this world a better place for everybody. Some of the things she taught me the meaning of many Yiddish words and phrases that I never quite, she would try to teach me the pronunciation, and I never quite was able to grasp that. When I had my own children, I saw the joy that she received from being a grandmother, and then later a Gigi. All you had to do was see her smile to know that family meant everything to Rina, and she truly held us all together. I called Rina Mom from the minute I got married, and I felt comfortable calling her Mom. She truly became a second mom to me, especially when I was tending to my own mother. It was good to call Rina and say, Mom, I need some words from you. And she always knew right what to say. In conclusion, I just want to say, and it sounds so cliche, that I'm a better person, and I'm sure you are all better people for having known Rina Brosse and all the people that she touched. So thank you very much.
I want to thank everyone for coming to my second TED Talk on Rina Lasky Brosse. Perhaps some of you remember the first one 7 years ago. The major difference between this one and the last one is there is no PowerPoint today. But I can honestly say that I won't be offending anyone here today, as I was told I did at the first one. Please know it was not my intent then, and it is not my intent here today. But Rina always tried to be upfront and honest with everyone she came in contact with. She called apples apples and oranges oranges. And if you were offended by what she said, most likely you were the one that needed to look deep inside yourself and not Rina apologizing. This was best noted the other day when I talked to Mom's friend Ed Simon, Steady Eddie. And in that conversation, he said that the last time he talked to my mom, which was 2 to 3 months ago, my mom said to him, I know I can and have been mean and nasty to you, and truly am sorry for that. To which Ed replied, Rina, you have no need to apologize, because everything you have ever said to me, and in the way you said it to me, was not only the total truth, but it was what I needed to hear. My mom, your friend Rina, could be one pain in the ass and drive you nuts. But we all loved her. But more importantly, we liked her even more for her honesty and straightforwardness. She lived her life on her terms. I know it might have appeared that she was being selfish as her health declined by not wanting to talk to you. Trust me, I know and feel that more than anyone else, living most of the time 350 miles away, and especially this past year living 560 miles away and not seeing her. And when I would call, sometimes she would pick up, sometimes she wouldn't pick up. She never wanted to complain, even when she felt like something you stepped on while you were crossing the street and got stuck on the bottom of your shoe. Knowing there was nothing I could do, when talking to her on the phone, I would say, sorry you're not feeling well. And she would say, it is what it is, and that's my story, morning glory. She wanted all of us to remember her, the real and true her. That is why I honestly feel she created the distance, not out of selfishness. In doing so, you needed to understand where she came from and where she was coming from. She came from a line of Shapiro women who you didn't mess with. You know the cliche, hell has no fury like a woman's scorn? Well, in my experience, hell has no fury like a Shapiro woman. And love had nothing to do with it. My Aunt Sophie, Kid Glitter, my grandmother, Bertie, and my mom, Rina, were forces to be reckoned with. They were tough and ornery and could be downright mean at times. At the same time, they were smart and intelligent and loving and caring and funny and dependable. When you needed someone in your corner as an advocate, all you needed to do is reach out to one of the Shapiro women, and you knew you would be all right. I might be biased, but no one was better at being smart, intelligent, loving, caring, funny, and dependable. And there was no one I would want to have in my corner as my advocate than my mother. And seeing you here today, I know you feel the same way. Now let's take this to a lighter side, shall we? I'm standing here today telling you I have become the person I am today because of Mom. Even though there have been times and are times I wish I could knock it out of myself, as I'm sure my wife Claire and my daughters Skylar and Bailey wish they could knock it out of me too. My mom was one of the funniest people I know, and that quality of humor that I got from her is priceless. We all have Rina stories, and I hope you get a chance to share them with me or share your stories with Peter, Tamar, Claire, Skylar, Bailey, Randy, Breezy, Sam, Beth, and Becca. For now, here's a few of mine. My mom had a friend who worked at Barclays, a high-end dog salon pet respite. Sorry, the name slips my mind. Well, I guess I just offended person number one. Anyway, my mom convinced me to call her at Barclays, pretending to be some random guy, and start asking her for some help. My mom and I planned this out together. I asked her, could she please help me because my dog would not stop humping my leg. And I was hoping she or someone at Barclays could give my dog a massage with a happy ending. My mother loved to play practical and impractical jokes on people she loved and liked, and I loved to be a partner in crime. All she had to do was ask. Your wish is my command, Mom. When I came to see my mom on solo trips, Mom always asked what I wanted to do. I would give her the look, and she said, okay, let's go to Costco. Now, if you've never had the experience of shopping at Costco with my mom, you really haven't lived. And since she is no longer with us in the physical sense, you missed out on something really special. And if you missed out, my recommendation to you is probably to go home, crawl into bed, and never get out, because you really missed an adventure. We would walk the aisles, and she would see something and go, wow, I need that. I'm getting that. And I would look at her and say, what the hell do you need a cow milking machine for? You don't even have a cow. Which she always responded, don't tell me what I need or what I need or I don't need. And don't you ever tell me how to spend my money. It's my money. To which I responded, I understand it's your money, Mom, but someday I hope it to be my money. But really, it was great. She would buy me food, clothes, anything I wanted, and would pay for it all and wouldn't accept any repayment. To which I whispered, yes, there is a God. 2 years ago, she let me piggyback her on her membership. But when I went to Costco without her, it was never as much fun. On a number of occasions, I told Mom this, and she said, of course it's not fun. You're paying for it. I'm not. She was one smart lady. Last story. This happened 2 years ago. Again, I came in solo, and as always, she asked me what I wanted to do. But this time, she emphasized, besides Costco. I responded, what do you want to do, Mom? Forget what I want to do. What do you want to do? And without hesitation, she said, I want to go ziplining. And so, I booked 2 ziplining excursions, and off to Geneva on the Lake we went. We got there, put on the harnesses and the helmets, And then she found out she needed to walk a little ways and climb stairs. And she said, "I'm sorry, I can't do this. It was too much for a COPD." I said, "Fine, it's okay. Let's go and plead our case. Maybe they will refund the money." Well, as we all again know my mom, she said, "No. I want you to go and have the experience. Go and have fun." So I did, for no other reason than to make my mother smile and happy. Because I didn't even want to go ziplining. I had no desire. It wasn't on my bucket list. I was doing it because she wanted me to do it. Of course, she thought I wanted to. But all I wanted to do is spend time with my mom and see her smile and to be happy. As some of you know, I got major vertigo from the experience and was stranded in South Euclid for 10 additional days. I also had to postpone my trip with Claire to Jamaica for a friend's daughter's destination wedding. I think my mom had it all planned out. One, she didn't want me to leave South Euclid and her. And two, she didn't want me to go on vacation, which is a totally different story, and if you want to hear it, find me later. My mom was truly a blessed lady, and she would tell me so many times in the weeks leading up to July 25th. She was at peace. She got to not only see all her grandchildren, but her 3 great-grandchildren, Reed, Marley, and Henley, in person. She couldn't get enough hugs and kisses from them. Mom only had 2 regrets as far as I know. The first one, she couldn't hold on to be there for Randy and Beth's wedding. Beth, please know my mother loved you very much, and she loved having you as her newest granddaughter. And 2, which I believe is truly her biggest regret, which is she so desperately wanted to live just one day longer than her mother and was unable to do so. When I was sitting by myself holding Mom's hand at the end, I swear I heard Bertha say, "I beat you. I love you, Rina, but I beat you just the same." As I conclude, I just want to give Mary Gerber a shout out. Mary, my mom's Louise to her Thelma. Another story for another time. Thank you for being the point of contact for all the information for Mom. I know that could not have been an easy task, responsibility for you. So Mary, it is now safe to buy lottery tickets, and if you want or need a new lottery partner, see me. Mega Millions is now 1.55 billion. Thank you all. You touched my mom and made her special, as I hope she did you. Remember, she lived and died following Frank Sinatra's words. And now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain. My friend, I say it clear. I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. I lived a life that's full. I traveled each and every highway, and more, much more than this. I did it my way.
Good afternoon, everybody. So, in the interest of cohesion, I actually have Mary Gerber's number written on a piece of paper with a to-do list that my Nana gave me. So, I kept it in my phone case so I wouldn't lose it. Just like a, analog backup. But anyways, well, everyone being here is really a testament to my Nana and how much everyone loved her. So, anyways, this summer, I helped my Nana finally clean and organize her garage, which, if you've been to her house, you know that was an undertaking. So, well, cleaning out her garage, I found porcelain dolls, a 60-year-old news clipping of my Uncle Ron, and a whole Costco aisle worth of paper goods. So she said, before you shop at Nana's. So, but the garage was like my Nana. It was unpredictable, and eclectic. As we went through 2 walls of shelves and years of accumulation, my Nana sat in a chair directing and praising me every step of the way. While Nana always had her own vision and opinions, she was always supportive of everyone else's visions, especially those of her loved ones, people sitting here. But most importantly, cleaning out my Nana's garage is really indicative of our relationship, because no matter what the activity was, Nana's unique sense of humor and perspective made everything more fun. For example, do you think driving around in circles for hours would be boring or even frustrating? Well, clearly you've never driven around in circles with my Nana. So when I turned 14, Nana allotted a whole day to spending time with me. And that wasn't new, but it was always special. On this specific day, Nana was planning to take me to a flea market at the Memphis Drive-In Theater. We left my parents around 11 and arrived at the flea market at about 10 minutes to 3. right as it was closing. Now, you might be thinking, was the flea market in another state? It wasn't. It was around 20 minutes away. So now you might be wondering, what did you do for the unaccounted 3.5 hours? Well, we drove in circles, lost and unable to find the flea market. However, because of Nana's sense of humor and just the general enjoyment I got from spending time with Nana, the hours lost attempting to navigate the southwest corner of Cleveland were something I always reflect fondly on, because this memory, like everything I did with Nana, felt special. So, whether it was renting movies and getting ice cream from UDF, the time when she took my friend Marshall and I to Mexican food and Marshall accidentally ordered 2 meals, which she was like very accepting and supportive of, or some of the last memories I have of her, like the face she made at me after she told me to order her a chocolate drink from Tommy's. I truly treasure every memory I have with my Nana. So, my Nana was the perfect mixture of sarcasm and kindness, someone who was well-loved not just by her family, but a huge group of dear friends. I'm confident no one will forget the humorous and caring nature that typified my Nana's demeanor. Thank you all for being here.
Before I get started, the last thing Nana asked of me was to bring her home a Greek man. So here he is. I'm sorry that I wasn't able ever to give it to you, but I promise I will take good care of him for you. My Nana, I will always remember your laugh, the scent of your home, when you called me breezy, and your choice of lipstick. I will always feel the connection of our birthdays, since you were the only people in our family who were born in September. Also, our love for cats. You bought me my only 2 cats, Fluffy and Janis Joplin. I always have the memories of the park down the street from your house and our sleepovers, which included Chinese food, ice cream, and Blockbuster. You always disliked the movie choices. I'll never forget when we saw 8 Crazy Nights with the family for Thanksgiving, and you were so offended by that movie that you never wanted to see a movie with us again. But that's who you were, an opinionated, strong-willed, independent woman. And I'm lucky I grew up with that as an example, which helped mold me into who I am today. I love you.
Song of Peace. Ose shalom bimromav, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, imru, amen. Yase shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. 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 It is a fearful thing to love what death can touch, a fearful thing to love, hope, dream, to be, and oh, to lose. A thing for fools this, and a holy thing to love. For your life has lived in me, your laugh once lifted me, your word was gift to me. To remember this brings a painful joy. 'Tis a human thing, love, a holy thing, to love what death has touched. This week, in our Torah portion, it says, "You shall set aside every year, shana shana, a 10th part of all the yield of your sowing that is brought from the field." This verse, of course, is talking about the Jewish ethic to care for those who don't have what we have. It's the practice of tithing. The emphasis is on shana shana, every year. I would extend the practice of tithing to our relationships, setting aside time and energy for those in need and for the most precious people in our lives. And not just shana shana, not just every year, but chodesh chodesh, every month, and yom yom, every day. This was Rina. She spent her life setting aside time for kids with mental and physical disabilities, helped families in need, and worked to create wholeness and peace in this world. Helping others was just a part of how she was built. She, as was mentioned earlier, Claire, she didn't need accolades or recognition. She knew it was simply enough to help create tikkun, the Hebrew word for repair. Repair, tikkun, in her own special way. Rina was the only child born to Isaac and Bertha Lasky on September 7th, 1935, in the Bronx, New York. Indeed, when the chaplain at University Hospitals reached out to me after finding Rina there and that she had been admitted to the hospital, he relayed to me in an email saying that he instantly detected her Bronx accent. She was New York through and through, with her matter-of-fact manner as a straight shooter. I'm from New York. I know this. She would often say that she would always speak her mind, whether you wanted to hear it or not. And that is exactly how it played out. Richard Brosse spotted Rina first at a fraternity party. He actually called out to her to ostensibly endeavor for a date, but she didn't hear him. So when she was told of his interest in her, she said, "He could damn well come to me and ask me himself." We should put a certain movie rating at this service, because we're using some language here. Ron, you already broke the ice for me. That moment of meeting him, her future husband, led to a 4-year courtship, where there was a little stumble that took place in her house, right, Leslie? It was I think it was her that actually stumbled in into the house. That was quite an entry point she made into the family. She fell into your lives and led to a 25-year marriage. Sadly, Dick passed far too soon at the age of 48. And Rina found the strength to rise up and raise these amazing young men, Peter and Ronald. As they grew to become adults, their partners, Tammy and Claire, became a central part of Rina's life. And they, in turn, took on the sacred responsibility of caring for her, a beautiful extension of their husband's love. Ron and Peter remember the special trips that their mom gifted them when they turned 50 years old. A special personal trip. Peter and Rina went to London and Paris, Ron to Italy. She loved traveling the world, to Venezuela and Cuba and beyond. Peter and Ron have wonderful stories of those trips. She adventured. Rina was an adventurer, even if it was locally. Like when she enrolled in a Yiddish course with Peter. She even adventured online to stream Fairmount Temple worship services each week. And when the services appear on Facebook, she would catch them on Facebook and she would make comments. Good job. I like the cantor. Rabbi's okay. No, she didn't. She adventured to D.C. to see the National Gallery. She loved going to plays and modern dance recitals. And she went antiquing, which was something she and her husband enjoyed doing early on. She journeyed to see Ronald and the grands and the great-grands, sometimes journeying with Tamar when she couldn't drive on her own. And in the years that they knew one another, Rina came to admire Tamar's strength when Pete was diagnosed with cancer, something that she faced with her own husband. And when Tamar was a leader with Ort, Rina joined to admire the fashion show in which I believe Brienne and Tamar were featured. More than 40 years after his passing, Rina found a profound level of independence to speak her mind and live a life she wished to live. Rina set aside time for her own kind of tithing, helping kids in the formerly known as MRDD, volunteering with the Board of Community Progress in South Euclid, working in the food bank, serving as an officer of the court for CASA. She was nonstop. Rina set aside time in her life for gardening. She so wanted a home so she can do that. She can build her little world. And that gardening was an expression of her independence, expression that she could give something life and nurture. And she cultivated lasting and loving relationships with her grandchildren, Randy and Beth, Brianne and Sam, Skylar and Justin, Bailey and Landon and Rebecca, and doted over her great-grandchildren, Reed, Marley, and Henley, who called her Gigi. Bailey and Skylar recall how their Nana did their makeup for dance. And Skylar fondly remembers how Nana was the flower girl at her wedding. And she wished to relate how Rina's first reaction to meeting her first great-grandchild, Reed, went. This is how she describes it. Ron says that Claire and I drove my mom down to South Carolina a month after he was born. As I pulled into the driveway and she saw Skylar waiting outside with Reed in her arms, my mom could not even wait till I came to a complete stop. She jumped out of the car as it was still moving and walked really fast over to see Reed to hold him. I believe she had tears coming from her eyes. She couldn't have had a bigger smile on her face. She was so thankful and blessed that day. Brianne and Randy talked already about their special relationship with Nana They also shared about her incredible sense of adventure and independence. Brianne remembers those special Thanksgivings at her house with all the cousins and extended family. And Beth, you loved her sense of humor. She loved being a Nana. She loved being a Gigi. And she would admit that she even softened a bit and became a better parent when the grandchildren came along. I think her children would attest to that. These last few weeks were really, really tough on Rina. There were ups and there were downs. But it became quite clear she was ready to leave this world. She even told the doctor, "Cut the crap. I know what I want, and I want to die." The doctor kind of looked incredulously like, "I can't do anything to help you right now," and that was too bad because she was ready. But I'm sure she was also a little scared, a little anxious, like all of us, not really knowing what the next world looks like. But she knew she had done so much in this one. And she knew that she had her family surrounding her with love, both physically and spiritually and emotionally. Ron, you were there at the end. You stayed at the hospital and hospice most of the day. And you eventually said to her, "It's okay, Mom. It's okay." Signaling that she had given so much of herself all these years, so much time and love tithed, set aside for those who needed her, so much loving investment in those closest to her. The ripples go on and on and on, stories that we know and stories that we'll never know about the impact she made in this world. So today, we are all here to say, "It's okay, Mom. It's okay, Nana. It's okay, Gigi. It's okay, Rina. We know how much you love to stand up for justice. We know how much you loved to do the right thing. We know how much you loved to march and stand up for the little guy. And we know how much you loved those in your life." And Rina, Nana, Mom, Gigi, we will ensure that your memory will forever be an enduring blessing. And we say, Amen. We pause for just a moment as we consider the gifts Rina brought to this world and maybe a little piece of the puzzle that she brought to your life. We invite you now to rise as you are able for the chanting of El Malei Rachamim, the memorial prayer. El Malei Rachamim, Shochein Bamromim, Hamsei Menucha Nechona, Tachat Kanfei HaShechina, Bemalot Kerushim Utorim, Kezoar Rakia Mazirim, Et Nishmat, Rina Lea Bat Yitzchak, Shalcha Leolama, Began Eden Tehei Menuchata, Ana Bala Rachamim, Hastireha, Beseter Kenafecha Leolamim, Utzror Bitzror Achayim Et Nishmata, Adonai u'nachalata, v'tanuach b'shalom al mishkava, v'nomar Amen. Amalei Rachamim, exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and the pure to the soul of Rina Brosse, who has gone to her eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. May she rest in peace. And let us say, Amen. As we turn to the conclusion of our service, family will be moving on to the graveside burial, Mount Olive Cemetery. And from the cemetery, family will be receiving friends at the Brosse residence, 5211 Cheswick Drive in Solon, 5211 Cheswick Drive, today from 2:30 to 8, and Tuesday from 2 to 4, and 6 to 8 p.m. Contributions in Rina's memory may be made to the American Lung Association for COPD, the International Myeloma Foundation, or the Providence House. David, Adonai Rui, Lo Achsar, V'noteshe Yad Yitzin. Amen. Amen. Menochot Yantileni Nafshi Yeshuveh Yankeni B'Madlei Tzedek Ma'am Shmo. Dan Ki Elech Be'Geit Saman Lo Yirara Ki Ata Imadi. Shivcha V'Shantecha Tema Yeshnacha Momi.
Friends, I'm going to ask you to step to the right into your car. Those of you driving with us to the cemetery, and are reminding you have to turn on your headlights, and you should turn on your four-way flashes as well. You can exit to the front of the chapel or rear as you need. Yeah, I got to get them.